If you are a professional in your 50s or 60s with 30 years of real experience and you've been wondering whether anyone would actually pay you for what you know, this video gives you a straight answer. Hi, I am Curt Roese, CPA, former CFO. I earned a master's in entrepreneurship at 63 years old, and I've been building Retirepreneur in real time ever since. When I talk about translating expertise into income, I'm not teaching theory. I'm actually doing it. Here's the problem most professionals run into. They know they have something valuable. They have spent decades being the person that people called when something was hard. But when it comes time to put that expertise into the market, they sort of freeze because no one has ever showed them how to translate a career into an offer. You might think your background is too broad or too specific, or that no one pays for what you actually do. The data says exactly the opposite. In this presentation, I'm going to walk you through three things. First, how to identify which part of your background the market will actually pay for. Second, why narrow positioning is not a risk, but the fastest path to a paying client. And third, how to choose the right delivery model based on how your expertise actually transfers. I call this the Expertise Translation Framework. Let's get into it. Most professionals think about their expertise in terms of job titles: VP of Finance, Director of Operations, Senior HR Executive. The market does not buy those titles. What the market buys is solutions to specific problems. A professional who spent 25 years in finance did not master finance. They mastered cash flow crises, acquisition due diligence, bank covenant negotiations, audit preparation under pressure. Those are specific problems companies are still paying to solve today. That is where a real consulting offer begins. There is one sentence that separates invisible from visible in the market. I have 25 years in financial services is a background statement. It describes your past. It gets a polite nod. I help manufacturing companies pass their first external audit without surprises is a result statement. It makes the right client lean forward immediately. That shift from describing a background to describing a result is not cosmetic. It is the difference between being exactly what a specific client is looking for and being invisible to them entirely. Here is the formula that works. I help a specific audience solve a specific problem so they can achieve a specific outcome. Every word in that sentence is a decision. Every word you leave vague is a reason a potential client decides you are not quite right for them. Most first drafts describe the service. The right version describes the outcome. Those are different sentences with very different results. The financial case for making this transition is not motivational. It is grounded in tax records. National Bureau of Economic Research data tracking IRS and Social Security records found that workers with self-employment experience by age 55 average approximately $134,000 in annual income, compared to roughly $79,000 for comparable salary peers. That is a 70% income gap. The question is not whether the market will pay for your expertise. It is whether you can articulate what that expertise actually solves. The instinct when you start out is to stay broad. More potential clients, more options, less risk. That logic feels sound and produces exactly the wrong result. For example, I help businesses with finance describes roughly 400,000 people in the United States. No one's going to call you specifically. I help SBA lenders structure loan portfolios that hold up in audits describes one specific person who recognizes themselves immediately and calls you. The data backs this up. Specialists charge at least $10,000 per project at 3.7 times the rate of a generalist. They also generate faster referrals because the person referring them knows exactly who needs what they do. Narrow positioning is not riskier, it is faster. For myself, I am a CPA and a CFO, but I have very specific niche industries that maybe I'm an expert at. I was a custom home builder for 10 years and worked for some other home builders, so I feel very confident that I could be a CFO in the home building industry. I also worked for an SBA non-bank lender, so I feel that I'm an expertise as a CFO for an SBA lender. In fact, I continue to do some part-time work as a CFO for an SBA lender. Before you decide on a delivery model, answer one question honestly. Does your expertise require your direct judgment and execution produce results? That's the consulting model. Or are you guiding someone else's capability development? That is the coaching model. Can the knowledge transfer without your real-time presence? That is the course, cohort, or community model. The right answer is based on how your expertise actually transfers to a client, not on what sounds appealing. This is a structural decision, not a lifestyle preference. 3 models, 3 different starting points. Consulting is the fastest path to revenue, weeks to the first client. Minimal infrastructure required. It is the recommended starting point for most professionals. Coaching has a medium timeline and scales better over time through retainers and cohort programs. It requires more process design up front though. Course, cohort, and community models have the highest income ceiling and, unfortunately, also the slowest path to the first revenue. They require an established audience before they pay off. For most professionals starting out, the right answer is one specific problem, one specific audience, and a consulting model that generates real feedback and real income before you invest in anything more complex. What do independent consultants over 50 actually earn? ZipRecruiter labor market data shows the market average is about $99,000 per year. Top quartile earners range from $140,000 to $155,000 a year. The key variable separating average from top quartile is not years of experience. It is specificity of positioning. The clearer you describe the problem you solve, the higher you earn. I want to be direct about something because I have lived it. The CPA instinct is to understand the full picture before committing. Applied to starting a consulting business, that instinct produces very detailed research and very few clients. The path forward is simple. One specific offer, one specific client, one project that generates real feedback. Everything else follows from that first engagement. Here are 3 tests for a good positioning statement. 1, does the right client recognize themselves immediately when they read it? 2, can they tell why you are a specialist and not a generalist? 3, does it describe an outcome that they want or a service you want to provide? Most first drafts fail these 3. I help companies improve their financial processes as a service. I help manufacturing CFOs close their books 3 days faster without any headcount as an outcome. Outcomes are what clients pay for. 3 mistakes that slow everything down. The first is staying too broad. Broad positioning produces slower acquisition, lower pricing, and weaker referrals. Start narrow. Expand only after you have clients and data. The second is leading with credentials instead of outcomes. A resume describes your past. Clients hire outcomes, not pedigree. The third is choosing a delivery model based on what sounds appealing. Choose the model your expertise requires right now. Build towards the model you want later. I have personally struggled with this myself, trying to create a lifestyle business. Be flexible. If you want a structured framework for the positioning work, the Retirepreneur Hub includes the Branding and Marketing Guide for Second Act Builders, which covers brand purpose definition, target audience identification, and positioning statement development step by step. Built for professionals with deep expertise who need a systematic process for making it visible to the market. Not a generic marketing course. Not startup advice for 25-year-olds. Free access, no credit card is required, and the link is in the description. This was the what video. The how is next. We covered how to identify the expertise the market will pay for, why narrow positioning drives faster acquisition and higher fees, how to choose the right delivery model, and what the income data actually shows. Video 3 covers the how to price your expertise, how to package your first offer, and how to find and convert your first paying clients. Subscribe to Retirepreneur on YouTube so you do not miss it. The single most important takeaway from this presentation is this: the expertise you have is not a credential, it is a product, but you have to describe what it solves, not where you work. The shift from background to result, from title to outcome, from I have 30 years in finance to I help this specific person solve this specific problem. That sentence is the word. Everything else follows from getting it right. The positioning guide is in the Retirepreneur Hub, free, and the link is in the description. The how video is next. I will see you there, and keep building.